Hi everyone! So as you may or may not know, I spent 3 weeks exploring New Zealand earlier this year, and today I thought I would tell you all the things I think you need to know before you visit the country. Number one is something that you need to be aware of even before you get there. New Zealand has very strict customs. They don't allow you to bring any food in, and you also need to be careful about any dirt you have stuck to your shoes or your camping gear. And when you enter the country, you're gonna have to declare everything on a little piece of paper that they give you on the plane, or you can also get it at the airport. So if you have anything like honey or something like that, they're very strict with honey especially, do declare it, and as soon as you get off the plane, throw it away. The same rules apply if you visit New Zealand as a tourist, then fly out to do another trip and fly in again, which is something that we kind of low-key forgot when we were there. After our road trip around New Zealand, we actually flew to Rarotonga Cook Islands for a week. And of course, we did some shopping while we were in New Zealand. We bought, you know, kiwi jam to take it back home, and like biscuits for our family and friends, and manuka honey, and you know, all the like touristy things that you would buy. Then we flew out of the country for a week, but we flew back into Auckland just to fly out back home. And yeah, we forgot we have all those things with us, and when we had to declare it, I was like, great, now they're gonna throw everything we bought away. And when we got to the customs, I just explained to the officer that we bought everything in the country and we flew out and came back just for the night because we're flying back home tomorrow. And because we didn't have any, you know, large quantities, they kind of let us through. Just, you know, try to avoid bringing any food into New Zealand. The second thing you need to know about are sandflies. Sandflies are they're kind of like mosquitoes, but smaller. They basically look like fruit flies. And when they bite you, it itches like hell. And it doesn't stop itching for weeks. Basically, if you're going to New Zealand in the summertime, there was a lot of them, especially in the South Island. Milford Sound was by far the worst. Blue pools of Haast, I think, were also pretty bad. Anyway, if you're going there, bathe yourself in insect repellent. Have it with you all the time. I actually sprayed myself all the time, but I still got bitten. I got bitten on the only two places I haven't sprayed it on, which are my hands and my ankles. Kind of can't be avoided, but we prevented the major catastrophe that could happen. I saw people walking around with dozens, if not hundreds, of bites on like their legs, their arms. You can be covered in bites in literally 10 seconds. So insect repellent, and make sure you get the strong one, the kind that you would normally take to the tropics with you. It has like a few special ingredients in that are like a bit stronger. Yeah, sandflies. Fun. Very fun little creatures. Another thing, make sure to bring with you or buy straight away is sunscreen. The sun in New Zealand is ridiculously strong because of the ozone, so you get burned very quickly. I learned it the hard way on my very first day. I forgot to apply sunscreen and my face was literally falling off. Make sure you put lots of sunscreen on no matter what time of the year you go to New Zealand. Speaking of what time of the year is best to visit New Zealand, keep in mind that New Zealand is in the southern hemisphere, so it's summertime through December to February and winter from June to August. Now, a few tips on public transport / driving. Public transport is actually quite bad in New Zealand. They don't have, you know, those regular train lines that you can use all the time. You can take buses that you can pre-book, but generally speaking, it's best to explore the country with a car. Go for a road trip or rent a camper van. Now, when you hit the road, you have to be aware of a few things. First things first, they drive on the left side of the road. Also take into account that you'll probably have to drive long distances. We squeezed in the tour of both the North and the South Island into 3 weeks, which meant that we had to spend 5 hours on the road every single day to get from one place place to another. In any case, you will be spending a lot of time driving, so make sure you take that into account. Another thing to note is that while the roads are actually quite nice, there's a lot of winding roads. Coming from Slovenia, that's not really a problem for me. We're used to winding roads here. But if you come from like a flat country, it's something you'll have to get used to. There can also be rocks and gravel falling off onto the road. So yeah, be careful when you're driving. Also be careful about single lane bridges. Most bridges, if not all bridges in New Zealand, are very narrow. Only one car can drive over them at a time, or I guess a row of cars on one lane. So yeah, before you go over the bridge, make sure to stop, see if anyone's on it, and observe the signs, which will tell you if you can go ahead or give way to the car opposite of you. Of course, also before you go, if you're gonna be road tripping, make sure to learn the road signs and the roundabout rules. They're slightly different than in, let's say, Europe. And also when you are driving, if there's a lot of cars behind you that you see want to pass you by, just pull over to the side of the road so that they can go ahead. That's like the #1 driving rule in New Zealand, it seems. Two more things regarding driving and the roads. Some of the gas stations in New Zealand are actually prepaid, which is not something we have in my country. I actually vlogged how to use a prepaid gas service station, I guess. So I'm gonna link that vlog over here and also in the description box below. And regarding toll roads, there's actually no toll roads in New Zealand, apart from one as far as I'm aware of. The only one we came across was the, you know, large highway in Auckland. And normally what you would do on toll roads is you would either like get a ticket from a little kiosk and then pay it on like the next stop, or you would pay the toll ahead with like buying a little sticker that you stick on the window. But not in New Zealand. In New Zealand, you just drive on the road like any other road, and you'll have signs at the side saying that there's like toll road ahead. And what they basically do is they have cameras that take photos, and then you have 5 days to pay the toll online. You go to the toll website, put in your driving plate number, and you pay what you have to pay, basically. I think it's genius, and the toll itself is not expensive at all either. It was only, I think, $2 something. So like €1 or €2. One thing I would also suggest you to do if you're road tripping is to download an app called Campermate. It's a very handy app for those of you who will be traveling around in camper vans, because it shows you all the places where you can camp and sleep overnight. But I would suggest you to download it even if you're traveling around in your regular car and sleeping in hotels, because it actually also shows you all the public toilets around, which is very handy. I found New Zealand to actually be great regarding public toilets. You can find them in pretty much any like national park, and they're also quite clean and everything, so a huge thumbs up for that. But there are some places where they are a bit harder to find, and that's where the app comes in really handy. Now, Wi-Fi in New Zealand is actually not the greatest at all. In big cities you can find public Wi-Fi, no problem, but even there it's not the speediest. So I would definitely suggest you to get a SIM card or bring a portable Wi-Fi with you. This is something that I use on every trip I go outside of Europe. I actually wrote about the portable Wi-Fi that I had with me on my blog. I will link the blog post in the description box below. And in that very same blog post, I also listed all the SIM cards you can buy in New Zealand, how much it costs, where you can get them, just all the information you need regarding how to get internet in New Zealand. Another thing you might want to take into account, and you're probably already aware of it, is New Zealand is expensive. Sightseeing wise, not that much, to be honest. There are no entry fees for the national parks, so if you're going there to hike and, you know, check out all the national parks, which I think are the highlight of New Zealand, you're good, because you're not gonna spend that much money on the actual sightseeing activities. However, renting a car, gas, food, hotels are quite pricey. So yeah, just make sure you budget the trip accordingly. And now the last two things which are very useful to know. Most tap water in New Zealand is drinkable, so no need to buy bottles of water. Just bring a reusable bottle with you and fill it up in hotels and public toilets. In national parks, they actually usually have a little like water station with tap water that you can fill up, which I think is very handy. Also make sure you are environmentally friendly when you travel to New Zealand and anywhere else in the world, really. In New Zealand especially, people are very conscious and protective of their environment, so make sure to help them keep their environment clean. And one last tip for you, just prepare for the weather, especially if you're traveling in, you know, spring, autumn, winter. The weather in New Zealand is very temperamental. You can experience a few 4 seasons in one day situations. So have your umbrellas with you, have your sunglasses with you, your shorts, your jackets, everything. That's it as far as my what you need to know before you go to New Zealand video. I really hope you enjoyed it and found it helpful. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for future videos about New Zealand and other amazing destinations that I go to. One more thing, if you are planning a trip to New Zealand later this year or, you know, anytime in the future, I will be making an ebook type of travel guide with my full itinerary, with all the prices, basically everything you need to know before you go to New Zealand. So if you don't have time to like meticulously plan your trip, make sure to check out my description box below. There will be a link that's gonna say sign up to my newsletter, so just click on the link, put in your email, and I will notify you when my travel guide will be out. Don't worry, I will not spam you. I actually don't have a newsletter yet, so I'm not sending out any emails as of right now, but when I do in the future, it will probably only be 1 email a month, so not gonna spam you, I promise. But yeah, again, thank you for watching. Also, don't forget to follow me on Instagram, where I post mostly travel photography on my feed. So yeah, lots of nice photos from New Zealand there. And on my Insta stories, you can follow my day-to-day life. So I will see you there. And I'll also see you hopefully in my next video. Bye!
About to leave, already packing, come with me, I'm not really asking.